I'm going to show you how to tile a splashback in a kitchen. Not only is it a nice feature in your kitchen, but it leaves the wall easier to clean and maintain. Here's what we need to do the job. Tiles, adhesive, grout, tile cutter, tile spacers, sealant, grout float, notch trowel, spirit level, measuring tape, tile bead, sponge, grout finisher and safety glasses. The first thing we have to do is to find the centre line. The same thing applies when you're tiling a floor or wall. You must have a centre line that you have equal tiles on each side. Mark your centre line with a pencil and transfer your line down to the first row of tiles using a spirit level. Once we've got our centre line, we'll transfer one line down the side of the hood, again using a spirit level, so we can parallel our tiles. Check that your work surface is level. Then lay your tiles and spacers against the wall and mark their positions. Top tip: if your work surface is not completely level, fix a straight 2x1 batten to the wall at the top of your first row of tiles. Use a spirit level to ensure the batten is completely level. Then tile from this point to the top of the splashback. When the adhesive is completely dry, remove the batten and infill the bottom row of tiles. You may have to cut tiles to fit, but you won't have to cut awkward slips. By setting up the tiles dry before you start, it lets you have a visual that you don't see quarter tiles like that. You don't want to have quarter tiles in your splashback. So to avoid this, split this tile in half and then you have a 3/4, which will look far better on your splashback. By marking the centre tile in half and placing it up to our centre line, we then see how much tile we need to finish. Allow 10mm for your trim to the end and mark in 10mm from that outside line. Now we know the length of tile we need to cut. Set the blade of the tile cutter right on the marked line. Press the blade down and push it forward across the tile in one smooth, steady motion to score a line. Press the handle down firmly on either side of the cut and the tile should snap cleanly in two. Before we start tiling, it's very important to cover your work area as adhesive is very hard removed. Score the wall using your notch trowel. Work within your lines. Always score the wall in more than one direction. Use a notch trowel to apply ready mixed adhesive to the wall. This ensures the adhesive is spread evenly on the wall and provides you with grooves, so it's easier to push down and manoeuvre your tiles into the correct position. Don't over adhesive your walls because it's going to dry out before you get to it and it'll affect the sticking of the tile. The first tile has been marked in the middle. That's the centre of your splashback. In other words, that's the cornerstone to the splashback. Now we're going to cut our trim. After your first row of tiles is in place, you'll need to measure and cut your tile bead and slot into place. Just sit loosely, as the trim will get its level as we build the tiles up the wall. And do the same on the other side. Press the spacer into each joint as you tile across the row. Make sure your spacer is kept well back to the back of the tile, as you don't want to see the plastic of the spacer come out through your grout. Build the tiles upward in a grid pattern. Try to get in close to the wall and look down across your tiles that you don't see any corners sticking up. Apply more adhesive and this time we'll take it straight to the top because the hard work is done. It should be faster and it's easier to put it on now than when there's more tiles on that you have space to use your trowel. Build the tiles upward in a grid pattern, going left to right as you work. You'll probably need to cut your top row of tiles to fit underneath the hood. Measure the space available for the last row. There's very little in the difference between left and right on this hood, but sometimes you may come across hoods that may be 5-10mm out of level, so it's important to measure both sides and the middle. Don't forget to take the thickness of your spacer off your measurement of the top row or else your tile won't fit. You may have to butter the tile in tight corners to make sure the adhesive goes right out to the edge of the tile. like a place like under the hood here where you don't want to get adhesive on the bottom of your hood. Make sure all the adhesive is removed thoroughly from the tiles, and especially in the grout lines, as it can come through the grout after grouting and it doesn't look good. Now that we're happy our tiles are clean, we're going to leave them to dry according to manufacturer's instructions. Now that the tiles are dry, we're ready to remove our spacers and start grouting. You only need to remove those spacers which are protruding. Now you're ready to grout. I'm using a ready mix grout, which makes it very easy for small jobs like this. To apply the grout, don't overload the trowel. Try to get the grout just in the joint and not over the tile. But if it goes over the tile, don't worry, it can be wiped off later with a dry cloth. Make sure and tease the grout into the joint so that all air bubbles are removed. And as the grouting trowel is made of rubber, it works as a squeegee on the tile. You may have to clean the grout 3 or 4 times as you move through the job. Remove any excess grout with a damp sponge and leave dry. To complete the grouting, we'll run a grout finisher along the grout line. This will give it a lovely smooth finish. It leaves it easy to clean and doesn't hold on to dirt. The final step is to seal the joints between the tile and the work surface. Squeeze a flexible sealant along the joint of the work surface and the tile. If you think you have to improve on the silicone bead you've applied, you can use washing up liquid on the top of your finger to help your finger slide across the top of the silicone. This will give a nice smooth finish. Now that I've shown you how easy it is to tile a splashback, you have no excuse, so go ahead and try it yourself. For more helpful hints and tips, go to woodiesdiy.com.